New Year's Eve in the Haunted Mansion. Last year, my wife and I decided that we desperately needed a change in our lives. We have 2 young daughters and felt that big city life was no longer for us. There was a lot of crime in the apartment building that we lived in, so we decided to move to a small town in Alabama. My wife had lived in the town for a few years when she was growing up. She said it would be a wonderful town to raise our kiddos. One day, we took our girls on a weekend trip to the town to look around. The drive was only a couple of hours away from the city. I applied for a few jobs while we were there. I was happy to receive a job offer as a maintenance man for a small office a few weeks later. Luck was on our side. My wife also found a job as a hygienist at the local dental clinic. It took a lot of planning, but we decided to go for it. It would be a good change for us. We turned in resignations at our old jobs in the city and packed up all our things. My little family and I had to stay at a motel the first week in our new town. We then sought out a real estate agent to help with finding a cheap place to rent. We chose Mr. Davis as our real estate agent. He was an older gentleman and was very experienced with the area of Alabama we were moving to. He took us around and we saw a few houses, but none of them felt like home. We wanted the perfect place with a nice yard for our girls. We were just about to throw in the towel for the day. We were pulled up in front of a stop sign on our way back to the real estate office. Then, we saw it. Our perfect dream home. The moment we laid eyes on the Grand Victorian Mansion nestled in the heart of Alabama, we knew we were about to embark on an extraordinary chapter of our lives. We were ecstatic when we saw that there was a for rent sign in front. Mr. Davis was hesitant, speaking quietly about how the house had been vacant for years. The yard wasn't too bad. Mr. Davis told us that someone was hired to cut the grass once a month during warmer months, but no one ever went inside. He tried to talk us out of renting the house, but the allure of the ornate architecture and the promise of a fresh start for my small family overpowered any apprehensions my wife and I had. Mr. Davis drove his car up the driveway and opened the lockbox, which held the house's key, but he refused to go inside with us, so we toured the house by ourselves. The large house had been abandoned for a few years. The lease stipulated that the condition of the house was as is, so the monthly rent was very affordable. We decided to take it. The girls were so happy that they would have a yard to play in during the warmer months of the year. Moving into the house was like stepping back in time, with creaking floorboards, antique furniture with layers of dust, and faded, peeling wallpaper. As we settled into our new home, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, and odd sounds echoed through the halls at night. The first night we were at the house, my wife and I were comfortably lying in bed. My wife soon fell asleep. I, on the other hand, had stayed awake watching TV. I heard footsteps creaking on the stairs. I was worried that one of the kids had gotten out of bed, so I went to check. I didn't see anyone on the stairs, so I went into the kids' room. Since they were still young, we put the girls in one bedroom, even though the house had a couple of other bedrooms available. Their room was at the far end of the hall, away from the stairs. My daughters were both asleep. Maybe I was hearing things, or maybe one of them was just pretending to be asleep. I don't know. My first week at work was great. I was getting in the groove of things, learning the ropes. Then, my co-workers started hinting at the house's haunted reputation. They said that no one had ever lived at the house for more than a month or 2. At night, the townsfolk would see flickering lights in the windows. They also told me that sometimes a ghostly apparition of a woman would appear and disappear suddenly. Despite the warnings, I dismissed the tales as mere folklore, confident that the old house was not haunted and that the townsfolk were delusional. I decided to keep the stories I heard a secret from my wife and daughters. No need to scare them. A few days later, my wife called me at work to tell me she had heard sobs coming from one of the vacant bedrooms when she was alone in the house. I told her that maybe it was our cat making crying noises and wanting to go outside. I started to wonder if the tales about the haunting were true. The next day, my wife got a call from our older daughter's teacher. Our daughter had been falling asleep in class every afternoon since she started school. After school, we asked her why she was so tired that she was falling asleep in class. She said that every night someone was outside their bedroom door coughing all night long and she would wake up and had a hard time going back to sleep. My wife and I told her she was probably having nightmares. I told her that the cat probably was sick and I would take it to the vet on the weekend. But we decided to let them sleep in our bedroom for the rest of the week. New Year's Eve was a few days away. My wife and I wanted to have a housewarming party, so we combined the two occasions into one party. We invited a few neighbors and co-workers. Everyone was excited to come to our party because they wanted to experience our haunted house firsthand. We invited the realtor too, but he politely declined. We all spent the days before the party cleaning to make sure it would be perfect. My wife and I decorated for the party. We put up banners and streamers in the living room, and got noisemakers and New Year's hats for everyone. The kids helped too. The day of the party came. My wife made her famous cheese dip and other delicious foods while I made sure we had enough booze and festive music for the night. Slowly, guests started to arrive. Everyone wanted a tour of our home. We assigned the kids to that task, and they were happy to do it. We all had a lot of fun at our party. Soon, the clock struck midnight, and the joyous cheers of our guests echoed through the halls. "Happy New Year!" We all shouted happily as we toasted the new year with champagne. I gave my wife a kiss on the lips. However, our merriment took an unexpected turn when the temperature in the room plummeted. I went to check the thermostat when one of the guests pointed to the corner of the living room and screamed, "A ghost!" Everyone turned to look where she was pointing. I only saw white curtains flapping in the wind. Everyone grabbed their coats and left in a hurry. Luckily, my daughters were both asleep in their bedroom. They did not see the ghost. My wife didn't witness the ghost sighting either. I told everyone that they just had an overactive imagination and everyone was a little tipsy on the booze, but they all rushed out nevertheless. Deep down, I wondered if there really was a spirit in the house. I wondered if she revealed herself because she sought resolution. Determined to bring closure, I wanted to uncover the mystery that bound this restless soul to our home, if there really was one. The next day at work, everyone congratulated me on a successfully spooky party. They all said they don't know whether or not they ever wanted to come back to our house, but nevertheless, they had fun. Our party was everything they expected at a haunted house ghost sighting and all. No one even mentioned anything about how good my wife's famous cheese dip was. Word about the ghost sighting at our party spread fast around town. Even Mr. Davis, our real estate agent, heard about it. He made contact with me and asked me to visit our home. He stepped into the house, otherwise known by the town as the Haunted Mansion. He told us that when he was young, he was engaged to a woman who lived in the mansion. They were going to be married, but his parents disapproved of him marrying young, so he broke it off on a New Year's Eve to make a clean break for the new year. He then joined the military and left town. Shortly thereafter, his fiancée became ill with tuberculosis and passed away. She had also been pregnant with Mr. Davis's unborn child. Mr. Davis spoke out loud to the spirit and asked for forgiveness. He told her he never got married because she was the love of his life. Mr. Davis asked if we could all join hands to say a prayer for his deceased beloved. So we did. I think Mr. Davis's fiancée died of a broken heart. After Mr. Davis visited the house and asked for forgiveness, we didn't hear any more sobs or footsteps or coughs. I think our ghost is resting in peace now. It just goes to show, no one should mess with true love. By the way, we still live in the house, and everyone still calls it the Haunted Mansion. After the New Year's party, we have never had a party at the house again because everyone declines our invitation when we tell them we are planning a party. I don't blame them. The end.